The skies over the war zone are no longer glowing red. The deafening explosions have finally ceased. A ceasefire has just officially taken effect, bringing an end to Operation Epic Fury, a conflict the Pentagon describes as the most horrific war of attrition in decades. The United States and its allies have temporarily shed the burden of war. But behind this fragile peace, a shocking truth is slowly coming to light. The U.S. Navy's arsenal is alarmingly depleted. In just a few short weeks of the campaign, over 850 Tomahawk cruise missiles, the spearhead of strategic long-range strikes, were launched. It is a burn rate unseen since the Cold War. America's shield is no longer intact, and the generals at the Pentagon know one thing for certain: they cannot afford to wait. Almost immediately, a multi-billion-dollar bill was sent to Washington. The Pentagon has just issued an unprecedented emergency request, a staggering 1,200% increase in the Tomahawk procurement budget for 2027. The U.S. wants to restock 785 missiles at a massive cost of over $3 billion. But that is just the tip of the iceberg. Just yesterday, April 10th, a historic agreement was signed pulling sci-fi technology into reality along the South American border. High-energy laser weapons have been activated. The United States is not just scrambling to refill its empty armories. They are plugging every security gap left in the wake of the Epic Fury firestorm. We are standing on the threshold of a new kind of arms race, where the line between traditional warfare and futuristic technology is rapidly blurring. Welcome to the post-war landscape. Hit that like button and subscribe so you never miss our next in-depth analysis. In the Pentagon's arsenal, the Tomahawk has always served as the ultimate devastating first strike. Every major American military campaign opens with a rain of these cruise missiles, tearing through the night to cripple enemy air defenses. But Epic Fury pushed the logistical limits to a terrifying new extreme. Over 850 Tomahawks were fired. To put that sheer ferocity into perspective, that number is equal to an entire decade of production, vaporized in just a few short weeks of fire and smoke. This historic burn rate has ripped a massive strategic hole in Washington's deterrence capabilities. The Pentagon's response? A procurement panic measured in the billions. Before the ink on the ceasefire was even dry, an emergency request was slammed onto the desks of Congress. The budget request for Tomahawk procurement in fiscal year 2027 has been pushed to an unimaginable extreme, a skyrocketing 1,200% increase. The U.S. Navy is desperate for 785 new missiles, but what has truly stunned military analysts is the attached receipt, a price tag of over $3 billion. Do the math, and the price tag for a single missile has now skyrocketed to nearly $4 million. Why does this desperation come at such an absurdly high cost? The answer goes far beyond simple inflation. In reality, America is paying for the brand-new Block 5 variant. They are equipped with the Maritime Strike Tomahawk guidance system, transforming a traditional land attack missile into a lethal ship hunter on the open seas, capable of autonomously tracking and destroying targets even in entirely GPS-denied environments. Furthermore, forcing defense contractors to abruptly accelerate a supply chain that is already choking from semiconductor shortages requires a massive premium. In other words, America is burning through mountains of cash just to buy back time. But reloading the offensive launchers is only half of this life-or-death equation. Operation Epic Fury ruthlessly exposed a truth Washington has always tried to keep hidden. Their supposedly impenetrable defensive shield has also begun to bleed. For decades, the media and military doctrines have seeded an absolute certainty in the public's mind. The skies over American bases are an untouchable sanctuary. The Pentagon's multi-layered air defense network was heralded as a flawless iron shield. But as the smoke from Epic Fury cleared, leaked top-secret satellite images ruthlessly tore that illusion apart. For the first time since World War II, America's state-of-the-art aviation infrastructure had actually bled. First was the shock of the E-3 Sentry. Serving as the airborne Eye of God, the AWACS, the E-3 is a flying command center, providing early warning for threats hundreds of miles away. During the recent campaign, sophisticated enemy saturation strikes pierced the defensive perimeter, inflicting critical damage to the radar system of a sentry right on the tarmac. When the Eye of God was blinded, a massive sector of the battlespace plunged into darkness, creating a terrifyingly lethal tactical blind spot. But what truly chilled lawmakers in Washington to the bone was the second casualty. An ANTPY-2 radar array took a direct hit. Remember, this is no ordinary radar. It is the very brain of the THAAD system, the backbone of America's strategic ballistic missile defense network. A system designed to intercept weapons of mass destruction failed to protect itself against a complex swarm attack. This strike delivered a crushing psychological blow to the American public. These fatal vulnerabilities can no longer be ignored. Panic has given way to action. And the Pentagon's only solution right now is to fire up another massive money-printing machine aimed directly at Lockheed Martin. To patch the shattered skies left in the wake of Epic Fury, the Pentagon had no choice but to write a massive check. $4.7 billion. That is the figure just stamped with emergency approval and funneled straight to defense giant Lockheed Martin. The sole target of this windfall revolves around a single name, the PAC-3 MSE. Unlike traditional fragmentation warheads, the PAC-3 MSE is the absolute pinnacle of hit-to-kill kinetic impact technology. It is the equivalent of firing a bullet to intercept another bullet traveling at supersonic speeds. And right now, America needs them more than ever. Prior to the campaign, Lockheed Martin's assembly lines maintained a steady rhythm, 600 missiles per year. But now, with strategic stockpiles disastrously depleted, that number is nothing more than a drop in the bucket. The Pentagon has just issued a life-or-death directive. Production must be ramped up to 2,000 missiles a year, more than tripling capacity in the shortest possible time frame. But in the world of high-tech weaponry, you cannot simply press a produce faster button. This is a massive shock to the system for the entire defense industrial base. Building a high-altitude interceptor missile requires thousands of sophisticated semiconductor components, ultra-lightweight titanium alloys, and complex solid-fuel rocket motors. The bottleneck is not just in raw materials, but in skilled engineers and technicians, a workforce facing a severe global shortage. That $4.7 billion budget is not just for buying missiles. It is an adrenaline shot for Lockheed Martin to build new factories, massively expand its supply chain, and outright buy priority access from microchip manufacturers. That is the sheer cost of defending forward operating bases. But using a $4 million interceptor to shoot down a dirt-cheap drone is an economic catastrophe. Washington has realized that an entirely new front is quietly igniting right in their own backyard. And this time they need a weapon that doesn't need bullets. While billions of dollars are being poured into traditional missile silos to counter superpowers right here on the home front, a sci-fi scenario has just officially become reality. Just yesterday, April 10th, a historic agreement was signed between the Pentagon and the Federal Aviation Administration, the FAA. The objective? To greenlight the deployment of high-energy laser weapons, or HEL systems. along the southern border with Mexico. The enemy on this front doesn't possess stealth fighters or destroyers. They are invisible phantoms, the cartels. The public might be shocked to learn that every single month, thousands of commercial drones are launched into the night sky by these syndicates. They act as sophisticated eyes and ears to shadow border patrol forces and even serve as unmanned transporters, dropping contraband with terrifying precision. America is being dragged into an asymmetric war, right on its own doorstep. Faced with this exploitation, Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth has laid out an ironclad strategy, prioritizing homeland security through futuristic military technology. Look at the brutal reality of the math. Using a $4 million air defense missile to shoot down a $200 plastic drone bought online is financial suicide. The Pentagon needs an infinite magazine. Laser weapons are the perfect answer. As long as the generators are running, the weapons keep firing. The cost per shot? A laughable figure. Just a few dollars worth of electricity. But why does a military weapon need the FAA's nod of approval? Unlike the glowing red blasters in Star Wars, real-world laser weapons are entirely invisible and completely silent. They melt a target's internal components in mere seconds. The most terrifying risk is that a stray energy beam could slice straight up into the stratosphere, permanently blinding pilots on commercial civilian flights. The April 10th agreement is the final piece of the puzzle, a synchronized data network for shared airspace. The border skies will now remain absolutely safe for passenger flights, but will become a brutal dead zone with no escape for any cartel device. The post-epic fury era is exposing a brutal paradox, forcing America to fight on two entirely opposite fronts. On one hand, the Pentagon is frantically pouring billions of dollars into traditional defense industrial complexes. They are desperately trying to refill empty Tomahawk silos and patch up the PAC-3 MSE shield at all costs. It is a massive cash-hemorrhaging arms race to maintain their superpower status and deter peer-level adversaries across vast battlefields. But on the other hand, they have realized a bitter truth. Brute force cannot solve every equation. Using $4 million interceptor missiles to counter $200 drones is slowly bleeding the American economy from the inside out. The phantom of asymmetric warfare has crept across the oceans, reaching right up to the border fences. The smoke and fire of large-scale conflicts may have temporarily paused, but a much quieter, more relentless war of attrition has only just begun. The deployment of laser weapons at the southern border on April 10th was never just a temporary fix to suppress the cartels. It was the opening salvo, an unprecedented large-scale test to bring directed energy weapons into the heat of combat. These machines, firing beams of invisible light, will not stop in the deserts of Mexico. Very soon, they will become the new standard, replacing traditional artillery on the warships and flying fortresses of tomorrow. America stands at a crossroads of military history. Is pouring money into traditional weaponry a necessary safeguard or an economic trap? Is laser technology truly the golden key to future warfare? What do you think about the Pentagon's latest move? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel as we continue to decode global military mysteries. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.